I've watched couples who deeply love each other still compete with each other. Maybe not on purpose, maybe not consciously sometimes, but it happens. And having the privilege of working with so many couples over almost just shy of a decade, being in a couple for just shy of 2 decades, because we're 18 years together this year, you start to see where the telltale signs are. You start to kind of like unravel some things. I'm like looking at moi, right? And what that looks like. And so like my husband is a genius. And this is not something I'm like blowing smoke up his behind, like none of that, because I family or not, like I don't give credit where credit isn't due. Like I just won't say anything. But I truly believe this. And this is not something like he'd watch his video and be like, oh my God, just how he feels. Like I tell him this because the way that his mind works, he is able to see how things work just easily. It comes easily for him. And I think all of us have certain levels of geniuses, around us. We have like what we're what our levels of genius are in different arenas and different areas. But that's it. Like he sees how things work. He can pick up on things quickly. And so I look at him and our relationship and I look at the fact that when people were struggling to get a job, right? My brother, I've seen people like putting in applications, people still like struggling to get work, to get good work when he was an auto technician, they would contact him. Like he didn't even really have to apply. Like headhunters were contacting him on the regular. Even if he was in a season where he was not working for somebody else. Okay, that's a whole other video which I did. Okay, maybe I try to link it up here about the times he kept like quitting his job and how it affected me and our relationship. But he vacillated between like working a job and you know working for himself and doing kind of gig work and just melding the two together, doing both. Like he did that. And eventually, maybe a year and a half, maybe a year and a half before we left and decided we were going to move abroad, he had already started his own mobile mechanic business, but he was like, I'm going to really dig into this. This is my thing. And I was like, okay, do it. And he did, and he did fabulous with it. Like I worked some of the back end, the customer client relation stuff. He was all on the front end doing the work, just he just was like that dude made it really fiscally successful. And he had struck out on his own. So there's a certain pride and success in that in and of itself. But when we decided we are going to move abroad, like that was a location specific business he had created. So, and he had created the business and he had been working towards it for several years. The business was, just I think a couple of years, old. He might check me on this on the timeline, but it was, he had been working towards it. But he gave it up because he was like, it's location specific. I can't do it here. And he was ready and feeling ready to do something different and to stretch his mind muscles in a different way. And he did. He started working online, fiscally successful. Just boom, because he understood how it worked. I'm like, dang, you know, I'm proud of him and I support him. And if I'm being real with myself and with you, I have been in doing my business for almost 10 years, about 9.5 years. And there has been ebb and flow in that business fiscally and how I've felt in the business. And a lot of that had to do with showing up despite the fact that I am going through my own stuff. When my mom passed, and then I found out right after that that I was pregnant, the emotional eating that I was doing, the weight that I was gaining, the situational depression that I was dealing with, and still working. And believe it or not, I enjoyed that. Those moments where I could focus on someone else, where I can be like in it with them and I'm not in it with myself. I know I have to deal with my stuff, but it was like a respite. It was like, okay, I have this. Now, even though there were reasons for the ebb and flow of my business, it was still an ebb and flow that I didn't see that was happening to him. And so if I'm being honest, I could catch myself in a situation of like, yo, why is it so easy for him and it's not easy for me though? Like, I'm happy for you. I love it for you. But I'm like, what's going on over here? I've been doing this for a minute. I know that I know what I know. I'm in it. I'm passionate. I'm dedicated. What is going on? Like, these are the questions. And what I've learned, right? So telltale signs, what has been revealed, what has come bubbled up to the surface is that comparison often comes before competition. And that doesn't mean that some of us do not sit in the comparison space and get out of it and find it to be personally motivating, like, oh, okay, now I'm gonna do this thing. I got this now. Okay, let's do this. Okay, I'm locked in. I feel inspired by, your partner, my partner. But there are others who go who dig in and wallow and stay in that space of comparison until it becomes like a head-to-head competition, until there's a scoreboard of who's doing it best. And that's the dangerous part. I mean, comparison is a slippery slope, and I get that too. But I'm nothing if I don't deal in practicalities and the realities of how we function as human beings and what can come up for us. Because I think if we ignore that, then we're ignoring something really, really significant. So I'm like, yeah, that question will come up in your mind. You might have that question come in your mind, like, okay, why them and not me? Why is it so easy for them? Right? You might be like, it's like the one spouse who seems to lose weight, you know what I mean? In 2 weeks has lost 15 pounds easy. And you're like, what the hell? How, what, what am I doing? Why is it so easy for you? And you're like, oh, you have that moment. It might be something just simple, like you got to figure out what's for dinner because the kids always hungry. The kids always hungry. What's for dinner? Man, didn't we just feed you? I'm pretty sure. And you got to figure that out. But you're like, I'm tired. And they're like, I'm tired too. You think you're the only one tired? And now you like comparing who's more tired? Are we in a more tired competition? Like, why can't we just both be tired? Because that's what we are and figure something else out, right? That honors that. Okay. But that's another discussion. But like those kinds of things, it might be something even bigger of like somebody makes more than the other. And then the other feels like now I have to ask permission to buy something I like, to spend money on something, to get something. Like I have to go through you to do these things, and it causes a hierarchy that is really uncomfortable within the relationship. I've definitely worked with couples for whom that is a big thing for them, and they have to really work through that before anything else can really kind of, well, that's not true. They work on a lot of things simultaneously, right? I think we all do, especially with support. And it's just a real prominent thing that comes up and comes up heavy. So in those ways, we find that we compare ourselves. And human beings, we can do that. Maybe your cousin sent a holiday newsletter and you're like, dang, they really, we didn't do that. We didn't go on a, we have those moments as human beings of comparison. But I think when it starts to weave its way into competition, we got to be careful because in your own home, that's your sanctuary. That is your sacred space. When you feel like you're in, you know, competitive mode and not in a way that feels playful or anything, but in that other way, that's when it becomes really tricky and it creates that wedge where you don't feel like you can talk to that person because like if they're your competition you don't want to give anything away, you don't want to give them any ammunition, like I'm not going to share and be vulnerable about this thing, because next thing I know is going to come up in an argument as a point of contention, like I'm going to share this thing and you're going to use this as ammunition. And so the the trust starts to dwindle, it starts to crumble, and then there's this wedge that also creates distance in the intimacy and the connection. Sometimes it's really subtle. Sometimes it's just laced with excuses or reasons about us being busy, not having time. We want to, but we don't have time. We have time. We do. I mean, that's the universal truth. Every time we say we don't have time, we have time. We have time, and it's laced with all that other stuff and it feels like it makes sense, but the truth is we feel like, oh, I need to show and prove that I run this household, better than you think I do. Oh really? Well, I'm showing you how I'm doing it, and it might be only in your head until there's an argument and then it comes out, but it's still there. The energy of it is still there. The reality of it is still there. And one of the biggest things that I have found that we can do to not slip from comparison into that competition space is just Michael Jackson of it all. Okay, look at the man or the woman in the mirror. Oh, look, I'm over here because I see the window, but I'm gonna bring it back. Look at the man or the woman in the mirror. And I feel like a lot of stuff comes back to who are we? What are we doing? What do we want? And it comes back to worth and it comes back to value. Do we see our worth? Do we see our value? And whatever it is that we're bringing to the table, do we trust our own process? Like, look, if your spouse has got a different body than you and they're losing weight or getting more fit or feeling like their health journey is looking different than yours, it's because it is different. Our health journeys are different. And that is what we need to embrace. The reality that our health journey is different and our journey and our process is going to be our journey and our process. And it's what works for us. But we see that that's what we desire, what we want, and we can still lean on what we desire. We can still move through what we desire. It doesn't mean that we sit in comparison or that we slip into competition. Dang. Sorry, I'm a word nerd, and the alliteration that's coming out of my mouth without me realizing it is making me very happy inside. This is a part of me doing little somersaults and flips because I was like, we have to make sure we don't sit in comparison and slip into competition. Okay. The S's and C's that it's giving. Okay. But it's true. It's real. Looking at ourselves and looking at myself, looking at ourselves and being like, no, this is my process. I own this process and I will not gain anything from not sitting in that process and going through my own journey and realizing and continuing to realize and sit in my own worth and my own value, whether it's about fitness, whether it's about money, whether it's how the households run, whether it's how we're parenting our children, like whatever it is, that sense of partnership and teamwork that many of us yearn for, that many of us crave, that many of us want to have continuously, and not just have, but feel that we have, right? Because sometimes somebody be like, you have it, but you don't feel it. So you want to feel like you have it? Yeah. Yeah. A lot of that comes from just being able to know what is valuable about you, just you. What you do, what you bring to the table, yes, but also you, just me, just me being Imani. I have value. Just me being me and my in my place in this world for the time that I am blessed to be here, I am worthy. I have worth. And it's easier said than done because there's so many outside things that have conditioned us to believe differently. The outside noise, the outside voices, the messages that we got them when we were little. And that's why the Michael Jackson of it all. That's why I look at the man or the woman in the mirror, because anytime I have been like outside stuff, I can be like, ooh, recognize that's some outside stuff. I'm bringing it right back to me. I'm bringing it right back to me. And so I can watch, my husband flourish. I can support him. I can be there for him. And I can still be like, dang, that came easy for you. And I might still have a moment that be like, dang, I clawed my way for that one. And you got there in, 2 seconds flat. Okay, that's what's up. I'm happy for you. And for me, it's going to look a little different. For me, I need my mindset to catch up with this thing first. For me, I'm building something completely different, so I can't expect it to look the same. What is that looking like for me? What can I celebrate in this moment that is beautiful and awesome that I have done because of who I am, because of how I deal and how I show up in the world and all of the things? What's that for me? And start to take that focus off anybody else, even my partner, even my spouse. So yeah, we gotta we gotta be careful. that we don't slip into that competition mode. We got to be careful and mindful of, you know, just even if that comparison stuff comes up, just taking it back to us. And I have found that that has been always a game changer for me in the toughest moments in my life, in the toughest challenges that I've had to face emotionally or physically. Like, what do I want in this moment? What do I need in this moment? What do I need to realize about myself in this moment? Um, how can I big myself up genuinely? This is not ignoring the things that I need to improve upon, but it's also not ignoring the things that are working and I'm doing fabulously. We don't often look at those things because we're conditioned to have tunnel vision of what's not working, what needs to be fixed, and the negative stuff. So, yeah, we we really start, I feel like, to eliminate that move towards competition in our relationships when we start to take stock of ourselves in a way that doesn't even move us into comparison, or if we're in comparison, it can help move us out of it. So, for those who needed to hear this, I hope this was helpful. I hope this is, something that helps to tip the scales if you're in this space, or help us all stay more aware so that we can be more intentional about how we're moving with our relationship with the self and our relationship with our partners as well. So if something did resonate with you, if you are in a space where you feel like there's a disconnect, where you do feel like you're in a competitive mode, or you're walking on eggshells and you guys aren't talking to each other or connecting the way that you were before, meet me down in the comments. My marriage reset bundle is made for moments like this, for small actionable shifts and changes that actually have a big impact on connection and communication. So, if that feels like you, if that feels true for you, if that feels like something that feels good to you, then meet me down in the description. I got you. Hey, I'm Imani Aisha. I'm out here making these videos to remind us and encourage us to stay connected to yourself, to your spouse, to creating a life that feels good to you, because we only get the one. So if that's your vibe, please subscribe. Let's continue this conversation. I appreciate you. Thank you. And I'm going to see you in the next video.